But it's funny, we have a project, which I think we're going to talk about here, but that project had already started to have a little seed. And I go up to Karen because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm telling Becky, Karen's here. I don't know her from Adam, but I'm going to go talk to her about this project. And just first off, the way she receives people, she doesn't judge people. She doesn't know, where I was from or anything about me. And the way that relationship just began, it was an immediate thing that you just fall in love with Karen. Anyone who's ever been around Karen, that's what happens. And she was so quick, and it just felt like, and I had been praying and Becky had been praying, and it just felt like this is something we're going to do probably down the road. And who knows when. God knows, has the timing, and had to have some other projects happen first. But just her willingness to jump in and say, I want to do that. I want to be a part of this.
When we met, it was like kindred spirits. Yes, our characters were best friends in the show, but we became best friends on set. And that is because we are truly kindred spirits in so many ways. She's a producer, I'm a producer, actress, writer, very sensitive to wanting our work and our projects to glorify God. Very willing. She's very willing. And this is something that we have grasped, to have our family be first and to slow down and take time for family. And I so respect that in her. And we have seen that in our lives. There are times where it's family and then it's work, and then it's family and then it's work. And so if you don't take that and have that balance, there's a problem. So she and I and the three of us recognize the balance that has to take place in our lives to keep God first and to keep our projects submitted under Him and really prioritized.
Even in our private lives, our relationships with the Lord, seeking the Lord to honor Him in all that we do, and spreading love outside of our homes and bringing people in to be parts of our families. Just walking that love of God, foster care, foster adoption, just really walking out what the Lord calls us to do, and to be able to work with Durrell and my dear Rebecca. And we've got that in common. It just makes everything so much sweeter. You can look across the room and don't even have to say a word, and you understand, don't have to nod your head, so it's wonderful. And we're in it to win it for the Lord. We keep Him on the throne, and we're grateful to serve. So
let's talk about what you've been doing in the latest 6-part miniseries, Eleanor's Bench.
I just found out from our executive producers that it is the #1 series streaming on PureFlix. So we're thrilled by that. And that would indicate that it might get picked up for another season. We don't know, but that would be the indication that it would. So we're I think ready to sign on to that for another 6 episodes if that's the case. There's a lot of movement happening with PureFlix right now, the excitement of merging with the GAC network. So if you like Eleanor's Bench, I would maybe text or email on GAC to say, we like this, we'd like to see it on the GAC network, and even with PureFlix, because I think it's very much, what's so great about streaming is it's very much dependent on what the audience is liking. So if you're liking it, let us know.
The stories, even though some people haven't walked in some of the shoes that the characters are walking in, they will be touched. It's so human. It's so real. Some people even say raw. It's not raw to the point where, you're not hearing foul language or anything, but it is life. And it is these stories that pull you in. And because it is real, anyone can relate to and start to root for these underdogs, the people needing hope. And they'll see themselves in some of these characters as well, right?
Yes, I think that we are always mindful as content creators to our audience. We want to cultivate the heart. It's like Karen's garden. You're digging up the heart so seeds can be planted. And there is this beautiful dance that happens with Karen's character where she's in this affluent sort of beautiful kind of sophisticated world with her being a judge. And then she goes back to the hood where she was raised. So her character is sort of flowing between these two worlds, and she's living that dichotomy. And what's beautiful is she's seeing the children that are caught in the in-between. And as adopted parents of the foster system, that's what drew us to the project. We have 4 kids that have been adopted through foster care, 4 of our 5 children. And so anything that elevates awareness for the children that are dealing with struggles and in a plight, we want to elevate the awareness of that so that people can have vulnerability and understanding of sort of the what happened before these kids were available for adoption. What is their world? Having compassion for the parents of these children who are being misplaced or displaced. So I think that what Karen is so eloquently stated is that it really does touch and has you have compassion for all the different people that are affected in these circumstances. So whenever we chat, we're like, when are we doing something together? When are we doing something together? And we have this project that has been our baby for about 3 years now. And what's beautiful about Karen and really where we are too, it's like, all right, Lord, here we are. We've got several projects. We have The Unlikely Angel that's happening. There's a sequel to that. We have another comedic thing called Anchor Couples Retreat that is actually with a producer now. So we have been talking about this project, Lost Friends, for about 3 years now. And we have finally set down dates to shoot what's called a concept piece, which is basically a beginning, middle, and end, giving producers a little sense of what the series will be like. And Karen has been our anchor of this project from the very beginning. I wrote it with her in mind, with being the character that is sort of the church lady, but she's a very hip, cool church lady. But to just give you a little bit of the background on this, a girlfriend of mine, Suzanne Ramsey, is a historian. And so she's a serious writer of truth that's happened in our little community and also just across the United States. And she came to me, she's like, Becky, I want to write this story about the fire that happened here in Lynchburg in the 1860s. And I'm like, you know what? Suzanne, I'm not feeling it. I'm so sorry. I'm not really into the history. I don't really want to go there. I like, romantic comedies and I like, dramas, but present day. And she said, but it's such a great story. And then she starts showing me all these pieces of paper and I'm starting to, what's this? What's this? What's this? And there was this article called Lost Friends. It is an actual thing that happened in the late 1860s after slavery, was abolished, and it is ads that were put in local newspapers and in churches where slaves that had become free were now trying to locate their friends, their family members, their cousins that were separated when they were still slaves. And now they're free and they're saying, have you seen Celia? She was taken to Mississippi back in 1853. I'm looking for Celia. And I'm like, is this real? Is this true? She's like, oh yeah, there are hundreds of these. I said, oh my goodness, this is it. This is what we want to write about. And then we started kind of thinking, how could it be relevant for today? Well, Ancestry.com, all these ways where people are looking up their history. We thought, wouldn't there be a fun way to, again, dance between present and past? So we have this character. I don't want to give away too much, but I am going to say this. We have this character, Derek, and he is a football player, 27 years old, and he has suffered from a major football injury. He's like a big star football player, major injury where he has concussions. And in his concussions, he has hallucinations. So part of his sort of trial is dealing, are these hallucinations real or not real? Derek, because of his circumstances with his concussion, gets kicked off the team. He makes some mistakes, ends up going to jail, finally gets freed up from jail, and that's where we enter the story. He's freed up from jail. He gets picked up by his old coach, and his old coach says, dude, you're not going to be a football player, but there's this wonderful church where you can actually get a job, where you can live, and that's where you're going to be for the next 3 or 4 years, where you figure out your life. Enter Karen's character, Mildred. She is the conduit between Derek's present and his past, in a sense. So she puts him to work there at the church, and in his work, he discovers that there are these old newspapers from 1860. And so as he's in the closet, cleaning out this closet and blowing off the dust of these old newspapers from 1860s, he sees this Lost Friends article, and he's like, what is this? Suddenly, I'm not going to tell you all the stories, but suddenly he is back in the 1860s. And he's at a moment where some lost friends are being separated. And just as quickly, he's brought back into the present. So that's all I'm going to tell you. But I am going to tell you that Derek and Mildred and another little character named India, who's around 7 or 8 years old, is how these lost friends get reconnected.
It's amazing.
It's going to be fun. And so, one of the things we need is obviously prayer. Anytime, we've got friends who are jumping in and saying, yes, I want to be a part of this to get this done so we can put it out. So that's the biggest part, is making sure that timing around Thanksgiving or whatever, and we gather all the crew that we need to do this, recreate some of these scenes that are going to be, kind of tricky period pieces, but to do them very quickly, basically in less than a week. And then we have some options to go to with production entities that we believe would really want this project. So just keep us in prayer, the project, and timing, and that we will persevere through every challenge we have along the way.
I think what Durrell said, prayer for this, because this piece is important for us to the idea of reconciliation and empathy and understanding from the past to the present, because the present story is just as powerful as the past story. Derek's journey of reconciliation with the people of his life right now, and how the past sort of speaks to that, is all part of it, and how we can really speak into that reconciliation for present day. But also, I think that we are just excited about what God's doing, and just trying to hold our hands like this, saying, Lord, what is your timing? What's next? What do you want to have happen in these different projects? Because I know that Karen's got several that are brewing for her. And I think just prayer for what's been already produced and that's landing out there. In fact, one of ours, Unlikely Angel, is going to be on GAC August 12th, 8 p.m. It's one of the 8 originals that are going to be airing for the first time on the platform in August. So, talk about your Kendrick Brothers show and when we can expect that.
The Kendrick Brothers, it's called The Forge. And at this point, it's looking like it will be out in August of 2024. So we shall see. I'm excited to have the opportunity to work with them again. It's a powerful story, and I'm not at liberty to say too much, but I love working with Kendrick Brothers. I love what they do, and I'm sure that publicity will start rolling for this piece very soon. And I'm looking forward to working with Cameron Arnett and Priscilla Shire again, and others. So
Karen and I have the unique privilege of working on Kendrick Brothers films, and we are just sworn to secrecy in for the entire filming. So I really appreciate where she's coming from. But this is her second one now, and then Lifemark that we did a year and a half ago. It's the same thing, and it was so hard because adoption, now I can talk about it. Adoption is so much the theme of the movie. And of course, our heart is adoption. And Kirk Cameron adopted 4 of his 6 kids. So adoption's always on our heart. And we were sort of not able to chat about it for a while, but then after it came out, as Karen mentioned, we were able to share, all the details.
How can the film industry reach a lost generation?
We need to reach the world. We need to point to the cross. And I don't think we've been doing that real well, in the sense of, I think to reach the Generation Z, which is going to actually probably change our country even for the worse if we don't get that straightened out, because those kids are not hearing the gospel. They're just not hearing it. They've heard all the cliches, and we need to find a way to reach them. I think Lost Friends is a perfect way to reach them.
Yes.
By storytelling. You can't just come at them. It has to be through story. I believe they're more ready to hear story and our true faith and how we feel about Christ and the cross and the truth, not just sharing stories that are not part of the main purpose of why we are here and have been given this gift of life. So that is what I would hope we could get to our prayer life in around the country with all Christians, to really pull together and pray about how do we reach this. That's why they're all on TikTok, because they're avoiding everything that we would be on. They really are on a whole nother platform. And to be able to reach them, it's going to be through story.
And I think we have to be bold. We don't make movies because we have to. We've got full lives. If we never made another movie again, I think we'd all be fine. But the reality is, this is the platform that God has given us, and we cannot be mushy or back down. It's Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Amen. We are not going to be spiritual. We are not going to be careful. It is Jesus. And I think the bolder that we are in our lives and in our content with excellence, we can't just be Jesus and not make it right. We have to follow the rules of 3-act structure. Karen and I have talked about this. We have to be good and excellent at our craft, but we cannot back down when it comes to the reason for why we have love for the world. It's Jesus, it's the cross, it's the gospel, it's the Great Commission.
People can hear. They're going to see themselves. Right now, they're on the fringes and they feel like they're completely out there on the fringes. No one cares. They hear this, cotton candy fluff message. Everything's going to be okay. No, it gets dirty. It gets rough. It gets tough. But this is what Jesus can do.
Amen.
This is what Jesus can do. So this is the kind of stuff that we need to show them. These are the lifelines that they need, and so we're the people to do that. It desperately needs to be done. Even I turn off fluff. I do. I don't watch it. I don't have time.
Amen. I love it.
No. What we want to do is bring the world together. We want to open eyes and hearts, and we want to be that love that God calls us to be, that love, that light, that salt, and in an authentic, genuine, open to God 24/7 kind of a way. Yeah. Because we do believe that the gifts we have been given are to make the world a better place. Yeah. As we wear the shoes and that He has given us to wear individually, and it's an honor.
So where can your fans find out about you?
Find out about us on Facebook, Rebecca Rogers Nelson. And also we're going to start a Lost Friends Facebook page. So be looking out for that within the coming months. And we will actually have Nancy, you can blast that along with this interview.
And Karen?
Yes, website, Karen at KarenAbercrombie.com. You can follow my projects on Earth Mother Entertainment. That is the name of my production company. I am on Instagram and Facebook as well.
What would you like to leave my audience with today?
What we want to do is bring the world together. We want to open eyes and hearts, and we want to be that love that God calls us to be, that love, that light, That's salt.
I would say prayer for the industry that we're in.
Mm.
We're seeing a lot of things happen, companies folding in on each other. And just that in the midst of it, we can continue to create truth, not just fluff. Can actually create things that we can watch somebody go through their redemption process and still make it an entertainment, but not just something that really doesn't matter. I don't really like doing things that don't matter. There's just not enough time in life to do that, and with all the kids. So that our projects actually mean something, that all the projects and that they have a landing pad, that there's a place for these things to land, a studio that can get behind us all. I don't know what that's going to look like. If there's grand possibilities out there before too long, that there may be another platform that we could all be working on.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember, and for your audience to pray against principalities, because we do not fight flesh and blood. We fight principalities. And what's happening right now in the faith-based industry is the open media doesn't necessarily want faith-based, but what I call the flyover states, the people that watch the content between New York and LA, those people do want faith and family and country, our United States, to be edified. And sometimes we have to really pray against the gatekeepers that hold back the content. And if your audience, which I know that we're kindred spirits, would pray with us that the content that they desire would actually make it through those gates.
Be sure to come back next time for another episode of The Call with Nancy Sabato. You'll be blessed.
What sound is heard only by the heart? It is the call. Follow God. The still small voice He imparts lives in the call. Follow God to help those in need, those in want, the purpose of the call of God to share His love is where we start when we follow the call. Follow God.
We are so excited. We are here at the premiere of Eleanor's Bench, and we actually have heard, it's true. We've
Karen
actually
Abercrombie.
heard-
Karen Abercrombie's here. We
Oh
know
my
she's
God, oh my
here.
gosh.
Somewhere.
Hey!
Oh my-
Oh,
oh,
here
here
she
she
is. Are you excited? Are you excited for it?
So excited.
Comes out on the 30th. This month, the
yeah,
30th.
yeah.
Eleanor's
30th.
Bench TV
Eleanor's
series.
Bench.
6
Woohoo!
episodes. You gotta see her. She's amazing.